Welcome to kurtbjohnson.com. I am an experiential philosopher. I've kind of been reflecting back on my life over the past 40 years and developing an experiential philosophy based on my experiential learnings. I'm an experiential learner based because I guess I'm a carpenter. I learn with my hands. And reflecting back, this philosophy really began 40 years ago. And it's crazy, like this year's an anniversary, like every 10 years of my life's been an anniversary. 40 years ago, I opened my first business, Dallas, Texas, called Advanced Auto Tint. You've got it made in the shade. Wed Howard, I actually tinted his windows when I worked at Spectrum Auto Tint. Early in the year 1985, he had MS, and I tinted his windows with him in his pickup truck. It was a fifth wheel pickup truck. And he and I hit it off. We had conversations, and he asked me what I was doing down there, and I told him I rode my motorcycle, and he goes, well, what are your big plans? And I said, I wanted to open my own window tinting business. And he offered to assist me with it. He said, I've been in advertising my whole life. He goes, you probably wouldn't recognize me, but I was one of the first Marlboro men. You know, I was an announcer for the Ed Sullivan Show. He was What's My Line, friends with Diana Shore. You know, he lived a star-studded life. But the key thing for me at that time, I was thinking of opening Advanced Auto Tint, and I didn't know anything about advertising. And he went on to tell me that him and his wife wrote and edited TV and radio commercials for a living. And that's where they what they did. So he gave me these three key principles of advertising, which I've shared on my YouTube, Kurt B. Johnson, LinkedIn, and you'll find it here on kurtbjohnson.com. And these key principles gave me the confidence that I was in the right place. I was kind of on a hero's journey. My buddy Joe Cale and I, a year before, went on a motorcycle ride to experience the country and wound up in Dallas, Texas. And so the story's a lot of the outgoing and the return. So here I meet Wed Howard, and I get these lessons, and I went on to open Advanced Auto Tint. As a matter of fact, I actually did Wed's three key principles for advertising so well. We tinted the windows on the guy that was responsible for the team that did the Rolaids commercial. How do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. So it was on a magical journey. And when I do things, I have a gift for attracting people and attracting what I need when I need it, even going back 40 years ago. Unfortunately, also 40 years ago, I had a beautiful experience, which really was one night just meditating, doing like a hypnotic meditation on a star, and it was that star of light gave me some type of intelligence where I had this epiphany that life's a lot like a battery. You know, with it, I took auto mechanics in high school, so I just had this realization that life's like a battery with two invisible forces that create movement within ourselves and those around us. And those energies are love and fear. And it's kind of the hero's journey. You know, fear serves two purposes. It separates you and you go on that journey. And that discomfort from being separated from the authentic intelligence of love gives you a great discomfort. And eventually, fear assists you in returning back to love. So life is like a battery. And that's reflecting back on that one experience. But I went so high with that experience, I think I fell into what I would call a hypnotic trip, hypnotic egoic trip, which left me not sleeping for 3 or 4 days. And I went nutty, and I needed help. I didn't get the help I needed. I basically lost a year of my life. At 20, I was left with a third grade reading level and an IQ below 20. And somehow, you know, a quote came to me, you know, maybe a year, 8 months into it, and it was, the only experience in life, only bad experience in life is the one you didn't learn from. And that, just knowing that knowledge, like knowledge can heal, and it can, when you get an understanding, you know, that's what experiential philosophy is going through the school of hard knocks, learning something, getting that lesson, and moving on. So then you look 10 years after that, I recovered, became a carpenter. And then 10 years after that, I decided to open Shawbucks, which opened March 31st, 1995, 30 years ago. But 2 weeks after I signed my lease in 2024, I wound up with testicular cancer. I gave Dr. Walter my left nut, became friends with him, went through 4-week-long treatments of chemotherapy at Roswell Park Cancer Institute. So I mean, not only am I celebrating my 40th anniversary of my first business, my Texas experience and overcoming that 40 years ago, but I'm also celebrating Shawbucks' 30th anniversary and also 30 years since my last chemotherapy treatment. So now fast forward 10 more years after that, I turned 40, June 7th, 2005. I get my first hole-in-one, number 17, Moonbrook, 7-iron. And that was an exciting year, but also that year, I had gone on the Atkins diet and I was losing weight and whatnot, and somehow I went another 5 days without sleep and needed help, but I didn't get the help I needed, and wound up back into the mental health system. And a lot of this experiential philosophy that I've learned is that the energy within me, Mindful Eatery, really means that your diet of food, thought, and environment is what creates your reality. It's a law of consumption. You consume your food, you consume your thoughts, you consume your environment. So when you truly think about it, your diet of food precedes your mood, and your mood precedes your diet of food. Your diet of thoughts precedes your biology, and your biology precedes your thoughts. And your environment is, your internal environment's a reflection of what's going on in your exterior environment. So that's where this energy within me comes from, is my experiential philosophy, and you can learn all about that here as I share stories and that. I'm trying to keep this story short, but then, so, and then on my 40th year, my son Caden was born, so there was a lot of stress, and I have a son Colin that was born the year before in 2004, so life's changing. There could have been stress that added to that. But truly, I really overcame all this with the realization that food, thought, and environment, and staying in harmony within your thoughts, your food, and your environment really is what causes healing and us to overcome problems. I'm not saying I didn't need help, but again, I didn't get the help I needed. Fast forward 10 years later, my dear friend Greg Peterson, 2015, invites me to an interview he's doing at Chautauqua Institution. I was pitching him my Mindful Eatery project. I've been on this idea for a Mindful Eatery project since what happened to me at the age of 40. I recovered through understanding food, thought, and environment, and I've been living drug-free for over 15 years. So that's why this is important to me to share these things. But so in this interview, he's interviewing Dr. Ralph Walton, and the topic is aspartame. And Dr. Ralph Walton's known world-renowned as the aspartame guy. And here I am sitting in front of the doctor that was prescribing me medications back 40 years ago when I went through my Texas experience and I finally got home. He was the doctor that in charge of the Jones Hill mental health facility in our hometown, Jamestown, New York. So what are the chances this all going full circle? And I realized what happened to me at the age of 40 was I was on the Atkins diet, and I used to drink a lot of Captain and Coke, Jack and Coke shot, and I just drank Coke all day, but I switched to Diet Coke. And now all of a sudden I've got the answer that it was the patented aspartame that causes mania. And now I know what happened to me, and it drives home the point that Mindful Eatery, be aware of what you're consuming. I'm consuming a patent that's owned by the pharmaceutical companies that can cause a mania. It's an artificial sweeter, aspartame, and now I'm in front of the guy 30 years later that was my medical doctor that I hated, and now all of a sudden I'm loving him in 2015 because he gave me the answer of what happened to me when I was 40. So you can see the drive and the purpose for why I want to do this Kurt B. Johnson website and share my experiential philosophies with others, so that they can not only survive but also thrive. Not bragging, but that experience I had when I was 20 was horrific, but the only bad experience in life is the one you didn't learn from. And looking back, it was the fears and judgment of the medical system 40 years ago that really screwed my life up. Literally, I had a third grade reading level and IQ below 20. There wasn't much hope for me to function in normal society. And looking back, my parents literally were written off. They were told I wouldn't function in normal society. But not only did I function, I actually thrived. And since that time, it's been my intention to share this experience and lesson with others so that they can not only survive, but also thrive, regardless of who has written them off or told them they couldn't do something. And what I hope is to assist other people. What allowed this transformation to happen within me, looking back, was a realization I wasn't defined by other people's fears and judgment. And what I hope is to assist other people escaping the imprisonment of other people's fears and judgment, but more importantly, escaping their own fears and judgment that's keeping them in bondage from fear. So truly, fear and love create movement within yourselves and others, and I think it's time we embrace the opposites, and that fear is not bad or good. It's only the separation from love, and it's the return of love. We're evolving out of the die from fear and live to love paradigm into the new golden age of where we live to love and love to live. Life is choice because it's always changing. You can find me on podcast ChangePoint. That's my handle, ChangePoint. Life is choice because it's always changing. When the discomfort from not changing becomes greater than the discomfort of change, you will change, and we will change as a collective and a collective consciousness. I thank everybody for their time. I know I went way over the amount of time I was supposed to go. But please join me with this experiential philosophy, the energy within me. And as I start to develop this within the Shawbucks building, 212 West 2nd, downtown Jamestown, New York, if you're ever in the neighborhood, and other locations. This Mindful Eatery project is in my heart, and you'll find it and you can track it at curtbjohnson.com. Thank you for your time.